Dave, I was looking up numbers, and I know you played the game. And the playoffs, it's more of a grind out game. Your fourth line, every guy's 208 plus pounds. The Hawks only have two players in their whole roster over 205 pounds. Do you feel that that's the key to their success? Is just their size and strength, and the Hawks haven't been able to handle them down low?
That's certainly what we're looking for from that line. They are a big, strong line. They protect the puck well. When they get around the net, they can be real hard in there. JJ's really evolved for us he's a solid centerman. He's positionally very sound. So that's the kind of game we're looking for them. And it's good to see them get rewarded for some of the work they're putting in down low. And that was a big part of the game. Those two goals in the third period from them were huge for us.
Next question, Rob Physicality from the Edmonton Sun. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, Dave. A lot of what playoff experience where it comes in helpful is not getting too overhyped in your old building and being able to deal with the atmosphere in a hostile building. None of that's in play anymore. So is postseason experience less important, or how does that manifest itself and still become helpful?
You know what? I think it's still important because you have the experiences of going through things in games that those experiences help you. And I thought last night, our team responded very well. But you look at the guys. I look at guys like Neil and Chason that have a lot of experience in the playoffs, and they're saying the right things. They're doing the right things, and when you have people through your lineup doing that, it drags everybody else along. I thought. Leadership from them, leadership from Connor, from Darnell Nurse was really strong. We just had a real committed effort that you look at the players in your room, they muster that up, and I love the way last night we were talking about playing the right way, right from the drop of the puck, and that's your leadership and players going into a playoff game and a really important game for us, that we did the right things and we found a way to win.
Next question, Brian Shaw. Brian, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
Dave, obviously you guys weren't able to find that in the first game. You clearly find it in the second game. I think the playoffs are kind of probably about being able to find that every single night. Is that something that the group just has to learn through tough lessons? Is it something they should be expected to just have? Or what's your thought on that evolution of understanding that needs to be every night?
Well, the consistency in which, you say you want to play well every night, but there's consistency you have to have within the game and things you're doing. And game one, we came out, we fell behind 4-1 early. And when you're chasing a game, it doesn't matter who you are, you don't look like as good a team. And, we chased that first game, did some things to put ourselves behind that cost us. Last night, we had purpose the whole game. We never trailed in the game. They got back to even. We got the fourth goal was a big goal, but we stayed with the process. So the consistency in what you're doing throughout the game builds that consistency that you have to have from outcomes from game to game.
Next question to Jim Matheson. Jim, as soon as your microphone's active, go ahead.
Dave, with Athanasio, is it difficult to get a player into the game when he's not on any special teams? He doesn't kill a penalty. He's on the second or third power play unit. So as a coach, when you're watching him and he's really playing well, and you're saying, man, there's a lot of penalties here. He's sitting too long. How do you get a guy like that who's playing well on the ice more?
Well, first of all, you have to recognize there's situations that the team has players that play in certain situations. And if you're in those situations, and the special teams rise, like he's getting a little bit of time on a second power play for us. But what he is what he did last night. Like you see those individual bursts and plays where he's real hungry for the puck. Those are things that a player like him, even though he may not be getting as much ice time as some other players, he can have an impact. He's one of those guys that an explosive circumstance where he jumps on a puck and creates a chance is where he's going to have his biggest effect. But he's been real solid in trying to do things structurally that we're trying to do. But when he does get opportunities, it's nice to see him try to create something. Like he had a chance last night on a power play where he took a puck from the corner to the front of the net. Real good chance. But you noticed his speed throughout the game. But sometimes the game the special teams, it dictates how much time players get, but as long as they recognize that what they're doing, whether it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes, what they're doing, they've got to do their job to help our team win and recognize that. And AA was good last night. He was happy for the win. I was happy to see how he played, how he reacted, and hopefully that's a good step going forward for him.
Next question for Curtis Withers, Canadian Press. Go ahead, Curtis.
Hi, Dave. Given what Connor did to spark the team last night, and what some of the other captains have done in the restart, I'm thinking Sidney Crosby had a big goal against the Habs last night. Obviously, if you have a letter on your jersey, you're expected to step up. But just how much does it matter when a guy like Connor McDavid steps up when the team needs him most?
Well, when your captain does it, it's the rest of your team. That's your leader. You can follow suit. I've seen it for years with Sidney Crosby. I mean, he dictates the work ethic and the pace of the game. Last night, Connor was the guy to do that for us. He, right from the drop of the puck, he was engaged. He gets that early goal, and then, when you have a player like that and your team is sitting there taking that in, it's an inspiration to the team. And Connor's not a big rah-rah guy, but he inspires players by how he plays. And last night he certainly led the way for us, but and then the rest of our team followed suit. So it's a captain or a top player. Those players have the ability to lead by their actions, and I think you see that in both Crosby and Connor.
Next question to Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, Dave. You obviously have a lot of high-end skilled players on your team, but you're also playing hockey in August. So I'm curious, have you heard much feedback from your players about the conditions of the ice? And as a coaching staff, are you kind of, telling them to maybe be a little bit more selfish with the puck and not try to be too cute? Is there any kind of message you're giving them in terms of how to play in August rather than in the middle of winter when the ice may be a bit better?
No, we've talked about the ice a little bit, and there's been no complaints whatsoever. So whether it gets tough in that latter game, I didn't hear anything about it last night. So if it becomes a concern, we'll certainly address it. But right now, it hasn't been a concern.
Next question to Mark Spector. Mark, as soon as your microphone's active, go ahead.
So having said that, Dave, I don't know, did you get a chance to take a closer look at McDavid's second goal? The way he pulled that puck down out of the air at the center ice, it bounced all the way down the rink. He kept tapping it, and then flattened it out right at the end. I mean, I don't know if the ice is good or bad, but he was like a lacrosse player out there. What were your thoughts on that hand-eye he showed?
Well, I've seen that before from Connor, so it's you're always amazed. The thing that amazes me is the speed that he's going when he's doing that. And just talking from experience as an old player, you're trying to find that thing and bat it down and get it flat, but usually you're working on that and not thinking about how fast you're going. Connor does those things at high speed, and that's what catches players. Like he like you say, he must have whacked that thing 3 or 4 times, but he knew exactly what he was doing every time he was touching it until it finally laid down. And the next part of it, to make a shot like that when you're going that speed and the puck has been bouncing around, that's elite talent, and that's what Connor has.
Got a question from Ryan Rashog. Ryan, as soon as your microphone's active, go ahead.
Dave, just hitting on the details again. Nugent Hopkins and McDavid make sure you win that opening draw. I think Leon Draisaitl on his first shift was pretty aggressive, trying to throw a couple of hits that night in, night out, he might not necessarily try and throw. I just wonder about, Draisaitl and whether the points are coming or not, the attention to detail and how much that matters to see, from him.
Matters from everybody. I mean, we have to have our whole group there's attention to detail, because what that is playing well as a team. You have details in your team game that we expect everybody to do. You can be Draisaitl, you can be Nugent Hopkins, you can be Larson, you can be Cassian. There's details that have to be done because that's how you play well as a group. And it doesn't matter the status of your player, your role, everybody's expected to do those details. And last night we were much better at it than game one.
Okay, we'll take two more questions and then we'll have players available. Jim Matheson, go ahead.
Dave, what was your reasoning for switching it up with Castian and Archibald? That you just didn't like Zach's game in the first game? They're both aggressive. Zach's just bigger than Josh.
Yeah, just looking for a little tweak here or there just to see if we could find some energy somewhere. So just a subtle tweak that it's one of those things it's a gut feel. You just do it and see how it goes. Worked out all right.
We'll take one final question. Jason Gregor. Jason, as soon as your microphone's active, go ahead.
Dave, it's still only 3 games after a lengthy layoff. And I know that as a coach, you love to see the offense, your team's defensive structure. Did you feel that it improved in the areas that you want? And what are the other areas maybe you want to improve in your overall defensive play?
Yesterday we gave up half the chances we gave up the first game. So the first game was loose. Like I say, we got chasing that game. We were very loose. Last night we were pretty detailed. There wasn't a lot. We didn't give up a lot 5-on-5. They had a bunch of shots on the power play that we blocked most of them. So our defensive details were much better last night. There's still some areas that we can continue to look to improve every game, but we were much closer to where we need to be defensively last night than we were game 1.
Thanks, Coach Tippett. Thanks, everyone.